revealed their Eurovision 2020 artist. It is Lesley Roy. The song is Story of My Life. Little Miss Lesley is telling a story, and I think we should talk about it. Are you ready?
Let's do this!
You guys, hype has been building for weeks, if not months. So much intrigue surrounding what Ireland would send. There was not a leak. The artistic group behind this said there would be a queer artist. A lot of people thought of gay men, but we got us a lady. Her name is Lesley Roy. She is married to a woman. She is celebrating diversity. She is cute as a button. She can sing, she can write, and she can produce. She has worked with Adam Lambert and Medina. So she knows this business. Let's go around and give our first thoughts on the song and the artist, Pouring in Ireland.
I am pleasantly surprised. I know some people are hating on this song because they feel it was hyped too high, and they feel that because it doesn't match the hype, that it therefore is bad. But I think it's a huge step in the right direction for Ireland, and I'm almost viewing it as the true successor to Ryan O'Shaughnessy's Together from 2018, because I think in 2019 they had the whole issue of the boycotts in Israel and attracting talent, and I think it was very last minute that they weren't getting who they wanted, and Sarah McTurnan and the song were mixed and matched, and they weren't an organic package. Whereas Lesley presented them this package. She's a co-writer. It's a song that's authentic to her, and that shows true in it as well. But on the song itself, it was described as an almighty bop. I wouldn't call it almighty, but I'd call it a bop, and that's perfectly fine with me because I've been waiting so long. Ireland hasn't sent an upbeat, boppy song since Casey Smith in 2014, and that's like more than half a decade ago. So we needed something uplifting, and this was the year we needed it, because by God, we have enough mid-tempo songs and ballads. And the thing is that people are calling it dated. They're saying, oh, it's like Carly Rae Jepsen, it's like Kelly Clarkson, it's like Katy Perry, it's like Demi Lovato, it's like Taylor Swift, all of them back in 2010, 2012 kind of time. But at least they're comparing it to like very successful artists. And I don't think it's dated. I think it's retro. I think it's nostalgic. And I think it will really appeal to people kind of from, say, their mid-20s to the mid-30s, that they'll recall that time. And it's kind of, that kind of nostalgia is very popular right now. Like if you go onto BuzzFeed, it's filled of quizzes of the favorite song from the noughties and all these TV shows, and they're comparing it to Hannah Montana and Victorious and all these kind of things. And I think that it's kind of dated, but it's in a nice way. It's in a way that makes people think of a simpler time when they were younger and they had more freedom. And even for younger people who wouldn't have been around then or wouldn't have been into music at that time, it's still very accessible and it still feels fresh. The production is modern.
Yeah, I mean, I think the step in the right direction thing, you took the words right out of my mouth. I entirely agree. This feels like a very different gambit from the Ireland that we've seen, where it can, as you say, feel like kind of an afterthought or something uninspiring. Or I think a lot of the time in the past decade, you heard the Irish song and it was kind of an automatic middle of the road, middle of the bunch. And I do slightly disagree about the Daisy thing. I do think this sounds very like a Max Martin generic production line track from the early noughties. However, Max Martin is one of the most successful songwriters in history for a reason. You mentioned Kelly Clarkson, Katy Perry, Pink, Avril Lavigne, SL, all had fantastic massive hits. And I think this is pure joy. And also I think the other thing with this song is that while the studio cut is maybe not the most uplifting and inspiring, I think it is the kind of thing in the arena that kind of takes on a life of itself. And with a live TV performance, a big stage kind of production and concept behind this, this can challenge and do really well. I think sort of my only real concern for Ireland here is that they are in probably one of the toughest semi-finals we have in recent memory, and I also have the very strong suspicion this is going to be opening the semi-final, which is not always the easiest thing to overcome. But I think Lesley can sell this very well. Yeah, I think it's infectious. It has familiarity. Perhaps for me, it's not the nostalgia piece. It's a song that you can hear and sympathize with and get on with really well. And yeah, it's just fun. And there actually aren't that many songs this year where you automatically put it on, and you get a smile on your face. You know, we talk about it being the year of kind of sad boy anthems. Sad boy anthem, this is not. So yeah, a welcome addition to this year's pack, I think, from Ireland.
She is a sad boy eater. When she hits the stage, you forget the sad boys. She does make you smile. People say middle of the road. Well, she's on the side of the road with her rock band and Kelly Clarkson slaying the sidewalk, slaying the streets. It does make you smile, and that's so important in a year like this. Let's talk about the lyrics. I don't care what they say, who they are anyway. Girl, you're a woman of my own heart. This is a message we can all relate to. Anyone who's ever been on Twitter can relate to this. This message is so pertinent in a social media age when people who do not know you invent narratives about you, and then to avoid feeling guilty about the horrible things they say, convince themselves that everything is true. I mean, this is so predictable, and yet people still get really upset online when they're the victim of this type of thing. And I think this song actually speaks to that. But then it also speaks to the offline world, the real world, when people encounter naysayers, etc. The video, it has an LGBT plus theme. We see people from all walks of life kind of living their truth, to use like a buzz phrase, showing, how authentic they are to themselves. It's quite fun, very colorful. It melds, a modern arena with a vintage arena. At times it's deliberately 1980s VHS looking, and it goes to Porig's point about nostalgia v dated. Yeah, it's nostalgia. I don't find this dated. I find it, throwback, yes, but that's okay. It's very trendy now. Yeah, and ultimately, she's going for a feeling, and that feeling is one of empowerment, of getting off your bootay and slaying when the world tells you to sit down. Well, Lesley Roy does not sit down. She stands up. Interestingly, the Casey Smith song, I wanted that to be an upbeat bop, but it was kind of almost like a slow bop, if you know what I mean. It was like a mid-tempo bop. It never really got there. This is moving much closer to something you would call a bop. I don't consider it an almighty bop. Like, when I think of bop, I don't know, I think of something much more electro. To me, this is almost rocky. This is like icona pop in your face. Like, there is this aggression, which I like. It doesn't have room to build because it starts off as a wall of sound, and so rather than going up and down, you just kind of run on this wall of sound, but that's fine. We all need the exercise, and if it keeps your attention, it's okay. Final point for me, I actually keep hearing Sinead Mulvey and Black Daisy from Eurovision 2009, and I know this is not like a hard rock anthem, neither was that, but there's something very familiar, and I really liked that entry. That's probably my favorite Irish entry of the past, decade. I really, really like that. So I'm hoping they fall on the right side of the semi-final elimination. Sinead and Daisy obviously fell on the wrong side, but they were quite close, if I recall.
I think that this has the potential to be a bit like Laura Tesoro and What's the Pressure from 2016. That was a very poppy song that was quite divisive at first when it came out. That it divided people. Like, a lot of people were very much like, oh, we've heard it before, or it's dated, or it's a bit old-fashioned. People were saying it was derivative of Fleur East's Sax and other similar songs. And yet Belgium brought out the staging. She opened the semi. Was it she closed the semi and opened the final, or vice versa? Yeah. And she came out and she got into the top 10, and it shocked everyone because people were, before they were going, they were kind of like, oh, this is too disposable. This is not going to go anywhere. And in between all this kind of very serious songs, it's nice to have something that's just pure unbridled joy, which is what the pressure was, and it's what Story of My Life is now. Because even some of the other more up-tempo songs, like if we think of Stefania's song for Greece, she's singing an up-tempo song, but the tone is much more simple, is much more serious. It doesn't make you smile, because she's kind of like talking about overcoming things, but she's more like a bit after vengeance or something, and she's going to rise up, and like she's not like, it's not as bubblegummy pop. And I think that in a sea of this, especially when there's so many, as you've said earlier, sad boys, and there's a good few ballad women with big ballads as well, that this is just going to be nice. And sometimes the juries, because the juries were what pushed Laura to sorrow. Like, people forget that the juries are people too. And if the juries are watching 40 odd songs or 20 odd songs, whatever the case may be, sometimes something like this stands out, and sometimes simplicity can be key. And one other thing to note with Ireland is that they are really harping on about their stage directors this year, that they've recruited This Is Pop Baby, who are completely new to the Eurovision scene, but they're big on the Dublin theatre scene. So it will be interesting to see what they come up with, and whether they're a potential to rival Sacha Jean-Baptiste and the like in future contests. But let's see what the staging, because the music video is quite promising. It's a very simple music video, but when you look at the music video they gave Sarah McTurnan last year, it's leaps and bounds ahead of it.
Yeah, completely agree. I think it's very breezy. It's an easy listen, but somehow, because I don't think that, say, Sarah McTurnan's album, that wasn't hard to listen to, but this somehow is a level of quality above that, I think, is the thing. And yeah, I don't know, it's like statement of intent. I think a lot of the negative reaction today is related to expectations not being met, and I think fundamentally this is a grower. And I think it will kind of grow and grow through the pre-parties, if Lesley goes out to any of those, and then into rehearsal week. I think, yeah, this is very staging dependent. I think that's what will kind of make or break this, but it's the kind of thing that there's a path to the grand final for this song. It's just about getting the staging right.
I must say that This Is Pop Baby on their Instagram, I've seen some amazing, lush visuals. This music video is not that lush. I enjoy it. I do think it was done on a budget. At times, I don't want to say it falls into caricature. I'm an LGBT plus person. I am not hating on nobody. I have a space for everybody in between my ears and in front of me. But listen, I worry that if they took that video and literally translated it to the stage, it just wouldn't work. Like, you can't just have a few people as kind of icons of different types of people or different types of creatives or whatever, because it would feel empty and weird. Like, they need to have an artistic bent to it on that big stage.
Yeah, like they can't just produce the outcasts on stage, because that's what Bilal did last year. So people are just going to be pointing fingers saying, oh, you're copying Bilal. And Eurovision fans are very fond of pointing fingers, because like the reaction generally when you look outside the bubble, because in the bubble, what happened was the word euphoria and Ireland's entry, they were mentioned in the same conversation. Right. And we may have published a post that had a headline that people read the headline, they didn't read the rest of the story, and then they've run with it that Ireland were going to have the new euphoria. And when they didn't get the new euphoria, they've been up in arms. But I rounded up the media reviews, which you can read on wiwibloggs.com, from the mainstream Irish media. All of them are glowing. Like, it's unheard of. I've no recollection of there being just such mainstream appeal, because on the radio, all the DJs, they loved it. And it's I think Eurovision fans can nearly be very too critical of their own music. And we've seen it even with Iceland this week as well, that people are nearly saying that Iceland can't be that good. The only reason everybody's sharing it is because Netflix is paying people. I think it could be, like, it's not on the same scale, but I think people are being overly harsh, and I think it has the potential. And if it was in semi-final 2, Ireland would be going to the final, no problem.
Can I just say, people have a short memory. The Irish Independent wrote, "It's exactly what we demanded after several years of lackluster balladry which failed to make an impact. Ryan O'Shaughnessy did rather well. He was all over the media. People forget too quickly." Like, y'all need to look at your Wikipedia and review those songs. I just keep thinking Iconopop. My final thought is just, it feels so Iconopop. It's like, I love the wall of sound. I love the energy. I love her vibe. I love the fact that she, has a wife. I love the fact that she's bringing a different flavor to the contest, and it's a big step away from the singer-songwriter point you made earlier, because, you know what, sometimes to the average viewer, maybe all the Irish songs sound the same. I'm not saying they do to me, but that Irish singer-songwriter vibe, you need to mix it up. And that's exactly what they're doing. They went from 22, and now they're turning it up to 60, because our girl's on fire. Well, That's what we think. What do you think? Do you think the story of my life will be a story of Ireland in the final? Let us know here on wiwibloggs.
Make sure to give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe. We're almost at 90k.
Crazy.
Make sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss another video from the channel, and check out all the other content we have on wiwibloggs.com and at wiwibloggs on all social media channels.
It's going to be a busy weekend. It's more important than ever to subscribe. We'll see you later.
Bye. Bye.